Marriage is a battlefield. Every day is a non-stop struggle. Literally a war zone, like being like shot and blew up and grenade launched. I wouldn't have it any other way. I wake up screaming most days. We have our high highs and our low.
Sexual intimacy within marriage is only a glimpse of the deep intimacy, relational intimacy that God desires to have with us.
Christian influencers on YouTube have done us all a great service with their dating advice. By oversharing about their marriages, they've convinced us all not to follow it. Up top, I wanted to say we have almost 500 subscribers. That's new and crazy for us. If you want to subscribe, you can. We've got room. And also, if you want to comment any video ideas, suggestions, topics, that would be great. I was homeschooled and I grew up attending a youth group at a Southern Baptist church. So I got a lot of messages about how Jesus had a special person picked out for me. And if I could only save myself, I would be rewarded for my princess-like behavior with the man of my heavenly dreams. That didn't happen.
What?
No, it did.
No,
it did.
It happened.
It did, just not in the way anyone expected.
It freaking happened.
It happened, but without me needing to be a virgin when I got married at 31. Whew! Some of the biggest names on Christian YouTube have provided some stark, bone-chilling examples of why marrying someone who you have not had sex with maybe isn't a recipe for a happy and fulfilled life. It seems like a lot of these couples got married because of a fervent desire to fulfill God's plan for their lives, only to discover that they're not that compatible with God's chosen lover for them.
Somebody hold her.
I want to start with the most obvious, striking, unsettling example, and that is Bethany and Dave.
What's up, y'all? It's Bethany and Dave here today.
Hey, guys.
And I'm so excited to be here with my husband.
Bethany, of course, is one half of the Girl Defined channel.
Oh, yeah. Those.
You remember them. She and her husband Dave waited until their wedding day to have their first kiss.
We have not kissed yet because we were saving that for the very special moment we can kiss when we get married. And it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But seriously, we're going to rock it.
And they have shared a lot of ideas about how this is part of God's perfect plan for men and women.
There's a passage where it says, he that, basically has sex outside of marriage is sinning against himself. Like he's sinning against his own body. And what I believe, sex is a promise. The act of sex is your body making a promise.
Yeah.
And so it's schizophrenic to make a promise with your body without making a promise, a covenant with your mind and your heart.
Bethany is not blessed with the gift of subtlety, and she has talked about Dave in a really demeaning way throughout their marriage. She also made it clear that their sex lives hadn't lived up to her expectations.
I view it like, all right, Dave, it's your job to make me come alive, and I'm like coming like these dead, dry bones. And he's like, all right, how am I going to raise the dead tonight, you know? And it was just so horrible.
Now that things seem to have improved, she is, of course, selling her sex expertise in course form, that you too can learn from her, 4 years of wisdom? The raw nerve. But Dave has been similarly open about how disappointed he's felt in their marriage.
I got to a point basically 4 years into our marriage where I just kind of hit a big wall of disappointment and went to get counseling. Mostly thinking you should get counseling. I was mostly thinking really Bethany should get counseling.
He also has addressed his humiliation in the face of her oversharing on social media about their sex lives. If it sounds like someone is sucking a pacifier really loudly in the background, that's Andrew.
Yeah.
That's Andrew doing that.
I'm doing that.
Okay, does it bother Dave that you talk so openly about sex online?
The answer is yes, but in a good way. Because Bethany does talk a good bit about sex, it indirectly does reflect on me in our sexual relationship. And it challenges my needy desire to be thought of as competent and strong. So something she says could expose me as sexually inadequate.
He even shared, quite disturbingly, that he has had fantasies about killing himself.
After the conversation, she'd be better. She'd feel better emotionally. And then the next day, I would just be really devastated and just having a really rough time with it. You know, I would be thinking back on our conversation and just a lot of resentment, just be really resenting her for basically putting me in a position where I had to take the fall in our conversation, and I kind of started to get worse, and I started to have these suicidal fantasies. What made my fantasy compelling was how bad Bethany would feel if I were no longer here.
And like, wow, Bethany, wow, Dave, it almost seems like you should not have married this person. And it seems like they've gotten kind of close to that conclusion, but they can't, because of their religion, admit that to each other or the world. What does the Bible actually say about sex and marriage? We got into this in our last video about Girl Defined. I talked about how Girl Defined has this message that Christian girls should be beautiful but not seductive, and what that means in a practical sense. And I talked about how like the Bible verses just simply aren't there to support their conclusions. The same goes for what Bethany and Kristen have described as God's perfect design for marriage.
The more that I have studied God's good design for intimacy, the more that I've learned why God created sex, why God created marriage, honestly, the more excited I've become to get to experience that level of deep intimacy, not just physically, but emotionally. It's like this fuller, holistic picture, I guess, of a relationship, and just seeing, wow, sexual intimacy within marriage is only a glimpse of the deep intimacy, relational intimacy that God desires to have with us. And just the fact that I get to experience like an earthly glimpse of that with my soon-to-be husband is amazing. And God designed sex to be super pleasurable for like our enjoyment. And so it's like, I've never experienced that. I love a good like new experience. I love adventure. This is like the ultimate adventure, and it's my best friend. So it's like, it's not awkward. It's not weird. It's like, he's my bestie.
You'll learn together and grow together.
In God's perfect design, He wants you to have a fulfilling, exciting, cool sex life, and you just have to hold up your end of the bargain by not being a slut in order to get to that.
Boo!
That's not what the Bible says at all. Part of my interest in this topic... Okay.
Sorry. The pacifier needed to be washed.
Oh my God. We can turn to 1 Corinthians, where Paul says, basically, I'm summarizing, it's better for you to remain celibate the way I do, but if you're so lusty that you just can't keep your lust to yourself, it's better to be married to get rid of your lust, which is gross.
That's why I did it.
I know a lot of Christians will point to Song of Solomon. I just remember like all those dorky youth group leaders bending over backwards trying to be like, this is some hot stuff. Her neck is like a tower. Her breasts are like deer. Come on. Now that is hot.
The Song of Solomon is a lyric poem written to extol the virtues of love between a husband and his wife. The poem clearly presents marriage as God's design. A man and woman are to live together within the context of marriage, loving each other spiritually, emotionally, and physically.
Don't know much about history.
Hey everybody, I would suggest that this accurately represents the consensus view of critical scholars of the Hebrew Bible, who for a while now have acknowledged that this erotic poetry seems to be addressing a sexual relationship going on between two people who are not only not married, but whose relationship does not seem to be acceptable to the household in which she lives, as well as to the broader society.
Why do they need hot stuff?
Because they need you to think that you're saving it for a reason. They need to say, like, there is a carrot at the end of this stick, and it is mystically hot sex.
Oh.
Now do you get it?
Marriage sex is rumored to be better than the other kind?
Yes.
By those people?
Yes. Wouldn't you agree? Okay.
Yeah.
Long pause.
Of course.
Because of the sanctity.
Because of how sanctified it is.
He doesn't get it. He's the sinner. Coming in a close second for worst biblical marriage on YouTube, Paul and Morgan.
How you doing? I'm Paul.
I'm Morgan.
And this is...
The Paul and Morgan. Paul and Morgan.
We are talking about what, Morgan?
What married life is really like.
Somebody hold her.
This couple, ooh, you can just feel how much they do not like each other.
There have been times when I've done something or said something to Morgan that's been so hurtful, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, it's nice knowing that she can't go anywhere.
They've even filmed their little fights and uploaded them to YouTube in the name of authenticity.
I'd like to go to bed snuggling.
We do. Okay, no, we're not putting this in the video.
We need to work on this. Alright, I hear what you're saying.
Just move on to something else. You just act like I never give you any loving.
Is it authentic, or is it just proof that you guys didn't really do enough homework before you picked your life partner?
All last night was really rough. But rather than end the video and never post it, we thought we would jump back into it, be vulnerable with you guys. Yes, like, we're talking about how hard marriage is. We get in a fight and literally can't even, like, have to stop filming the video. So there you go.
And that just shows that Satan sucks, and he hates marriages, and he hates godly marriages, and he does not want to see us succeed. And if we're going to try and, like, help other people have godly marriages, he's going to try even harder to tear us apart, so...
Paul and Morgan talk about how difficult the first year of marriage was.
Year into marriage almost, and I was sitting there feeling like, dang, this is hard. I am trying, and it's hard.
Being married humbles you.
Otherwise known as the honeymoon phase, like, that is not, I don't think that is considered by many to be the hardest part of marriage.
I remember our first year of marriage as being really nice and easy.
I barely remember our first year of marriage because it was so blissfully easy. I don't know, like, what were we doing? Hanging out? Moving on to a much less exciting example, Sutton and Nate.
Me and my wife here, that's what we did. We saved ourselves for marriage. We were virgins on our honeymoon night, and gosh, it was such a disaster. I mean, you had no idea what you were doing.
I know what you're thinking, Nate, that's a nice normal name. Wait till you see how it's spelled. People really dislike how Nate talks to Sutton. Like, there's that video where he talks about how he wishes she had read his mind and knew that he wanted a hot meal when he came back from his business trip. There's that other video where she's talking about how he made her feel like her postpartum body wasn't attractive, and he's just kind of like, well, that's not what I said, but... I wanted to note that I did look for these videos, but Nate and Sutton deleted them after they garnered some backlash. I did find a version of the postpartum controversy on TikTok, but it has some copyrighted music playing under it. I just wanted to note that in the video, Nate says that Sutton filtered his comments through her woman brain to turn it into something that he wasn't actually saying. But then he goes on to confirm that he was telling her that she should work out to undo the ravages of childbirth 3 months postpartum. So I'm not surprised they deleted it.
What's your favorite thing about each other?
I want to acknowledge that all the channels I've mentioned have way more people responding to them negatively than they have actual fans. They get a lot more attention when they make videos that are kind of boilerplate, anti-wokeness talking point. They know that those videos are going to get a lot more views than the ones where they post just wholesome Christian content, because that's not very interesting. I guess it's debatable how much influence they actually have. But you know who did have a lot of influence? Joshua Harris, the author of I Kissed Dating Goodbye, which was published in 1997 when the author was 21 years old. The wisdom that 21-year-old Josh had to share with us was that instead of dating in a modern sense, what you should instead do is a courtship, where you should hang out with people who you think might be prospective spouses in group settings. You can get to know each other in a non-sexually charged environment. At that age, show me an environment that's not weird and horny.
On a bus, in a church.
I grew up in Gaithersburg, Maryland, which is where Covenant Life is, the church that Joshua Harris is from. So I was at the epicenter of the court, don't date scene. What a scene. Joshua Harris, I recently found out, has retracted a lot of the ideas he put forth in I Kissed Dating Goodbye. In 2018, he put out a documentary called I Survived I Kissed Dating Goodbye, where he addresses the criticism he's received about the effect that his extremely inexperienced dating advice had on people. That same year, he told the publisher that he actually wanted to take the book out of print. And in 2019, he and his wife announced they would be separating, and he no longer identifies as Christian. So I'm giving advice to anyone who's dating right now who's like, I don't know, should I save it for marriage or not? I don't have any opinion on what you should do with yourself, but just take everything that these Christian influencers are saying with a huge grain of salt. A salt pillar as big as Lot's wife. That's some Christian talk, so they'll know that I'm one of them.
How many stone does Lot's wife weigh?
Thank you so much for watching. It's been a blast. And please join us next time when we talk about something else kind of bad, but not too bad. It's something like a little bit stupid.
A little bit stupid.
A little bit stupid. I'm not trying to bum anyone out.
Mild scandal.
Mild scandal, that's what I'm into. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Shush.
Take this child.
Okay. Cut. Cut, but not wrap.